Ahoy, ahoy, everybody. Welcome back. Yes, I'm sick before you even say something. Yeah, I'm sick. Chris and I were just talking about it. I've had a really bad cold now for over a week, actually about a week or so. So Chris is going to have to do more heavy lifting today than he usually does because I just don't have it in the throat. So
shit, I should have paid attention.
I mean, I don't think there's not a whole lot to our movies this week. So
no, but it's going to be, I mean, one of them was kind of funny. Not in a ha-ha way.
I mean, I think both these movies this week are pretty good OTC fare. So,
I'm not arguing that at all. You are correct.
I am correct. And this week we are covering. Hold on one second. Let me open up this guy, unplug it so it's easier. All right, here we go. IMDb tells me, according to my list, that I watched. That's unbelievable. Films number 89 and 90 for the year. Queens of Evil and Vicious Lips.
Yeah.
Both available to watch on Tubi.
I could not remember. I read them when you sent me the titles, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to see if I can remember them this time. And I'm typing in all kinds of shit for Vicious Lips, and I'm like, none of this is correct. I better look it up.
So we've got a 1970 Italian horror flick, I guess. And Vicious Lips is a 1986, but not released until like 2001.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it had its original run, but was never released on home video until a DVD came out of it, I think in like early 2000s.
That's weird.
One of those like long sort out missing flicks or whatever. You can get into that.
Okay.
That's 1986. We do love to cover the weird, wacky rock and roll movies. So I think this is going to be a fun one to talk about.
Because we've just done that other one with the weird band inside the mental institute with the guy who somehow lived and thrived in an abandoned building.
Doom Asylum.
Abandoned. That's it. Yeah. That's a bad name for that movie. I will never rember that.
That movie was terrible, but fun in a weird sort of way.
I would watch it again just for the laughing woman.
Yeah, for sure. Whoops, sorry. Realized I was on the loop. In the loop. What's going on this week? So we just had a earthquake here.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
About 20 minutes ago or so. Like, not joking, like legit. There was York, Maine registered a 4.1 magnitude just off the coast.
Yeah.
And that's about 200 miles from us or so. 200 miles north of us. Yeah. Maybe give or take 25 or so miles. Probably yeah, sure. Okay, 200, we'll say that. Yeah. But we felt it here and felt it like significantly.
It lasted like
20 seconds?
Conservatively, I would say like 15, 20 seconds. Ellen and I are talking, we're going over cars because we need a new car. And the shaking happens and we're like, that's a loud fucking truck. That must be a huge...
That's exactly what I said.
It's not stopping. And so Ellen looked at me and she's like, what? I'm like, doorway. Just like that, just doorway. And we both stood in the doorways and I'm like, yeah, it's probably an earthquake. Yeah. I mean, we're on a huge fault line that's inactive, but
not anymore.
Will be active. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember reading stuff years ago that was like, if this fault line ever decided that it was going to go, it would be worse than the worst California earthquake because this is a worse fault line.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Because Mel and she texted down to me. So I said the same thing. I was like, damn, that's a big truck. And the dog freaked out. And I thought first...
Ours didn't. That was the weird part.
I thought they're doing blasting a couple streets over from us. So we're hearing the siren.
That was my next guess.
So I was like, oh, that must be blasting. And then Mel texts down to me. That's because we work from home, but we work in different offices. She works upstairs. I work downstairs. And she texts me. She's like, was that an earthquake? And I'm like, oh, I thought it was a big truck, but it could be the blasting next door. And she's like, oh, Sharon felt it too. And her friend Sharon lives in Lynn, a few towns over where we used to live.
Yep.
And then I was like, oh, okay. And then I did the very tongue in cheek. Oh, let me check the Wakefield Facebook group. And sure enough, they were like, was that an earthquake? I'm like, all right, everybody felt it then.
Yeah, when you asked me if I felt it, I'm like, okay, that's what it is, because you're at least 10, 15 minutes away.
Yeah.
Which is 5-6 miles.
Enough that it wasn't like a blasting thing or a really large truck.
Yeah, it would have to be a huge
big truck.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
Yeah,
it
was
nice.
Yeah, it was 20 seconds or so. But I never actually felt. We have them here every now and then, but they're usually very slight. That's the first one I can remember ever actually feeling. Like,
I don't know.
Like feeling my windows were shaking and stuff, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, stuff was shaking in here. Once I heard things on the shelf rattle, I'm like, yeah, we should probably stand in the doorways or go outside.
I just sat here. I didn't move. I was like, oh, all right. But yeah, that's what our morning. It's what our morning was.
Yeah. And I mean, if it was a 4, I'm pretty sure we'll feel an aftershock at some point. Probably be very faint, but
yeah. What else do we need to talk about? Hey, have I mentioned that Kyle's documentary Phantasm is available on Amazon Prime and like Tubi and stuff?
No, I don't think you have, even if you have already. Say it again.
So Kyle, obviously the other half of OTC Productions, co-director, Survival of the Film Freaks, editor and producer of Don't Forget to Leave. He did a documentary, how we met Kyle, actually. Yep. He did a documentary called Phantasm, Phantasm, where he was his senior thesis for when he was studying film at Syracuse. He went to a bunch of conventions and did a documentary about conventions and the convention life and all of those things. And we were interviewed for it when he came to Rock and Shock in 2015, I think. Maybe 2014.
Yeah, I don't remember the year at all.
We'll say 2014.
But yeah.
2014. And I think it was released maybe in 2015 then, originally. Okay, yeah. So it hasn't been available digitally. He did a short run of DVDs of it, but it had never been released digitally for streaming. And so we took it under the housing of the OTC Industries name, and we have put it out digitally, and you can get it now on Amazon Prime. It's available on Amazon Prime, included in Amazon Prime. It will be available on Tubi. I'm not sure if it is yet.
Okay.
Nice. But you can get it there. It runs just about an hour. It's not quite feature length. But you get a lot of familiar faces, including Chris and I. And he talked to Tom Atkins. He talked to now I'm trying to remember, of course, and I can't.
It's been a while since I watched it.
I watched it when we first put it up because I hadn't seen it, and it holds up pretty well, man. I'll say. I mean,
yeah, the subject matter shouldn't go out of style, really.
And I haven't been to a convention since when we premiered Survival of the Film Freaks at Horror Hound weekends. That was the last time I went to a convention. We had Rock and Shock here for a long time, and Rock and Shock went away, and now we have the Silent Scream convention, which is the guys from, what the hell is that band? Ice Nine Kills.
Oh, yeah.
They do a convention now that was up in the North Shore. Now they have moved it to the DCU Center, and it takes place there. I haven't attended it as of yet. I don't dislike conventions. I'm not going to say that, but I just, at this point in my life, it's not something I'm going to go to as a fan.
Yeah, it's a lot of energy.
It is. And no fault to anyone that still loves conventions. And we met some amazing people through our conventions, but it's for me, like, if I'm there, peddling a product or promotions, like, yeah, cool. But I don't have the desire in me to go and walk around. Like, I'd be done in like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the big problem, isn't it?
I think because I don't have the attachment to physical items like I used to 10, 15 years ago when we used to do Rock and Shock.
Yeah.
Like, I'll buy a few Blu-rays and a few DVDs here and there, mostly through like Kickstarters or GoFundMes or stuff like that. Or Indiegogos where you're directly helping someone out.
Oh yeah.
But the last time I think I bought a Blu-ray was the Get Even Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray. I think that's probably the last one I bought.
I don't remember the last disc I bought, even game or movie or TV show, nothing.
I still buy physical versions of games.
Yeah, I might want to do that for some of my favorite ones.
I do it in general because it's the same cost. Essentially, it's the same cost as a download. So I'm like, I'd rather have a hard disk of it because if they decide to take that game offline, even if you have it saved, there's no promise that it's going to stay there. Like Friday the 13th is a perfect example of that. Whereas now that their servers have been taken down, I don't think you can download it anymore, even to play the one-player version of it, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. But but yeah, getting back to the convention thing, I don't have that need for collectibles. Not that I don't like them, but I'm just not, going to go search them out.
Yeah, there is one coming up in April. It's like a halfway to Halloween kind of thing in... it's like the South Shore. I forget where.
Framingham? Maybe?
No, it's I want to say Providence, but not Rhode Island. I'll look it up. But
okay.
It looks like Tom Matthews and Linnea Quigley will be at that one, and I don't have autographs from either of them. And I'd like to take my kids to a horror convention. I was going to do the one where the Terrifier crew was there, but I didn't have $600.
Jesus. So, was that for the photo op?
Yeah, because if they're going to go, I want them to. Well, I wanted to do it was like $300. I wanted to do the one with the whole cast with my kids.
Yeah.
But then something came up and we just couldn't do it at all anyway. So
yeah, you had to pay like your house bills. That's what came up. You had to pay your electric bill, and you'd rather pay that than pay $600 to have a picture taken with these guys.
Yeah. But this, there's another one coming up. Curiosities and Oddities, something like that.
That's a new one. I haven't heard that one.
It's Oddities and Curiosities Expo. It's a traveling kind of expo.
Okay. At least it's not false advertising.
Yeah, and it's basically like a Salem thrift shop, gift shop, taxidermy, bones, like that part of Salem, just like all their little shops. And,
okay.
And I don't mean that condescendingly. I mean
the Essex Street run of shops. Is that what we're talking?
Yeah. Like you have an online presence, and you got a store because it's going to be October in Salem. They have coming up for their, what's it called? They're the one they're doing up here. I want to say in May. They have taxidermy. You can choose insects, or in this one you can make a jackalope. And Rip is really interested in that. And you know what, if she's really interested in something and it turns out it's something that she really likes, the money doesn't matter in the end how much it costs if she finds something she likes.
For sure.
The thing is, it's like 3.5 hours. And it's a per person thing. So I need to write to them and say, hey, can someone sit with her and keep her company in that time while she's working? I don't want to learn any of it. Taxidermy is weird and creepy.
It's very strange.
Yeah.
I get the fascination with it, but it's very strange to me.
Yeah. Yeah. The most strange for me is the family pets that you keep around.
Oh, yeah. No, thanks.
I don't know if I absolutely could, but could not do that at the same time.
No, I don't want
Anyway,
that.
So that's probably the first thing that they'll end up going to. And we watched a couple of videos on YouTube about the stuff that all the different vendors have, and they've all kind of keyed in on certain stores they want to hit now, which is nice. I like that. And it's going to be like the Bayside Expo Center, so it's going to be big.
Nice.
So that's nice.
But yes, so Phantasm is available to watch on Amazon Prime.
Oh, yeah.
And if it's not on Tubi already, we could probably check that while we're on the air.
I could check that right now.
It is available to watch on Amazon Prime. The Woodsman's available a couple places now too. I know it's available on YouTube in a couple different spots. But I don't think we got that picked up by any of the other networks as of yet. And we'll have news on Don't Forget to Leave hopefully soon too. I get asked I would say almost every single day. I've got somebody looking for it, and I just wish I wish I had more information for you. We have a sales agent we're working with to distribute it, and it's just kind of finding the right deal that's not basically giving it away.
Yeah. Everybody wants to get the most they can out of it. I understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ.
It's tough though. I mean, and documentaries are huge right now still, but it's getting even harder to try to sell them because there are so many.
Yeah. Okay. So what I have under Just Watch for Survival of the Film Freaks is free with ads on the+ channel, free on Hoopla, Prime Video, it says, 30 days free, then $8.99 a month, stream free. Plex is free, and Amazon Video, it says $12.99.
Okay.
And that's all of them so far.
Okay. Well, we wanted to look up Phantasm though, right?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know which one you were talking about.
Phantasm. I don't.
So Phantasm is available. I had that ready to go.
Oh, there you go, dude. Yeah, nice.
Phantasm is on Prime Video. It says free if you have a subscription, so not free. Prime Video, Amazon. Though it's just the Amazon.
We know that it's been picked up by Tubi. We just don't know when. They don't really give you a release date. We got the confirmation that that they're going to take it, but we don't have any like. It'll just show up one day. I'm sure it just gets into their queue and then it gets uploaded when it gets uploaded. So you can't even. I wish you could like promote like a release date. You know what I mean? Because we also have Ouchie. Ouchie's going to be coming out soon too, and I believe that's already been picked up by Tubi also.
Yeah, I just typed in Survival of the Film Freaks Tubi, and yep, that's me. It's on Tubi.
Isn't the still you?
Oh, I don't know. No, it's Andrea.
Andrea, okay.
Is the still?
That's fair. There. She's more attractive than you.
Sorry, loud. What? It came up. The audio came up. She what?
She's more attractive than you.
Yeah. I mean, if we're talking about women, yeah.
Yes. We are talking about women. So yeah, support independent film. That's our stuff. As I said, Ouchie is the next thing that's going to be releasing. That did some awards at some festivals this year too.
Nice.
I'm just a producer on that. I didn't have anything else to do with that. I was supposed to be the cinematographer on it, but I got diverticulitis.
Yeah, that happened.
And that kind of fizzled that. And I told him that I didn't want to. I told Kyle, I go, if you can get somebody else to shoot it, get somebody else to shoot it, because there was money put into that film. I mean, there's money put into all our films, but like we had like specific funding that was, I say we, Kyle financed it. Specific, like, plan, locations. We got the actors for this time. So I took on the executive producer role. And I think I did I do editing? No, I didn't do editing. Kyle edited it. I don't know. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. Let's talk about our reviews this week.
Okay, we could do that, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. All right. Which do you prefer which one of these we do first, or?
I don't really. It's very rare I have a preference. I've been thinking about that. Like when it's ones like these that I don't have. It's not that I don't have a strong opinion about them. It's like just both of them have specific things that I need to say.
Fair enough.
Either one is fine.
Well, I'm willing to bet. I'm willing to bet Vicious Lips probably has a pretty good trailer.
Oh, I hope so.
So let's see here. 19. That looks like it's probably German.
Remember when that was all we could find for a while was just German versions of trailers?
Yep. That's actually Spanish, isn't it? All right, so let's see here.
Maybe I couldn't hear it really.
Well, the whole thing with this is too, it was unreleased for so long. I'm not sure if there's like, there's just clips and stuff. There isn't like,
Okay, that makes sense. Oh, excuse me.
Like most of my films, I had either a concept, a premise, a piece of art. In this case, it was a great pice of art.
That's Charles Band who did the art of it. All right. Anyway, all right. So we won't play a trail, although there's some choice music in it. So, all right. Vicious Lips, 1986, directed by the one and only Albert Pune, written by Albert Pune. Very familiar to us here on the show. Director of Radioactive Dreams, Sword and the Sorcerer, Cyborg, Nemesis like 3 through 12.
When I worked at the General Cinema that was at the North Shore Mall, and it was a 3-screen cinema, we got Cyborg, the Van Damme movie.
Yep.
And I must have, because it was only 3 screens, I need to remind everybody, I must have watched that movie like 14 times in the theater. Because like I go for break and I watch part of it and I time it so I could see different parts. I've seen that movie a lot. It's not good now that I watch it again, but at the time, it was just a fun afternoon distraction. He makes, the funny thing about the director is that he's competent, but it feels like he needs to break past amateur looking stuff, and he could pull like a Peter Jackson, like a Dead Alive. How it sort of looks cheap, It's not.
Well, I think depending
a slick movie.
Yeah, I think a lot of his films was all based on what he was getting for money.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, you can make a good. I don't know. I would have liked to have seen him break out and like really find the one thing that like he had an expansive vision for.
Mm. Well, this is the 5th flick of Albert Pune's we've covered. We've covered Radioactive Dreams, which is kind of a spiritual. The Vicious Lips is kind of a spiritual sequel to that because there's some of the same terminology and places used in it. Dangerously Close, which we covered. Doll Man we covered, and Nemesis we covered.
Doll Man was not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
No, it really wasn't. It really wasn't.
It's a dumb title. But
I would say, so he did Sword and the Sorcerer, which did pretty well. And then he was given Cyborg in 1989. And then what did him in was that just disastrous Captain America movie.
Yeah.
Which
there were some bad decisions on that.
Some?
Yeah. Like, hey, I think we should make a Captain America movie. And somebody else said, yeah, that's good. And that was the dumb decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. We're only going to put $29.95 into it.
Yep.
And
Red Skull is going to be Italian. If I remember correctly, he had an Italian accent instead of German because I don't know why.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've seen it, but I remember seeing it as a kid, just being like, "Oh, this is bad."
Yeah.
Vicious Lips, though, 1986, starring nobody you've heard of. There's nobody in this movie that you've heard of. Drew Ann Perry, Gina Calabrese, Linda Carriage, and Shane Farris play the titular intergalactic rock band, the Vicious Lips.
Yes.
Story is very simple here. Very simple.
You got that right.
You got Maxine. She is like the talent person that runs all the clubs in the universe. One of the bands that's supposed to play for her can't make their gig because they got into a car accident, or they got into a spacecraft accident.
Yeah.
And we learn that she is ruthless because she then kills their manager because it was his fault that they didn't make it.
Yeah.
She reaches out to Matty Asher, who is a struggling, we'll say, talent agent and manager. He manages a group called the Vicious Lips. Mm-hmm. Sorry, not the Vicious Lips, just Vicious Lips.
Okay, yeah.
It's not like the AC/DC or the Aerosmith.
Unlike the U2.
The George Michael.
Yeah.
He manages them, and they've just lost their lead singer. She decided that she was going to go sing for a different band called the Cruikshanks.
Yeah.
And then she proceeds to apparently get into a car, speed off, get into a car accident, and die. I say apparently because why, Chris?
Because I think she shows up later.
No, she doesn't. What?
I don't remember.
No,
really
it was off screen. All you heard was the sound effect of the car driving off and then a crash.
Oh, I thought you meant way after.
No, way after.
I don't know.
I don't know what
you. I don't know what you're asking me. What are you asking me?
Oh, you're taking too much out of my throat here, man.
I'm sorry.
It happens off screen. We don't see it. We just hear it, and we don't know.
I see. You weren't going that far. They cheaped out. Absolutely cheaped out.
Absolutely cheaped out. So now they don't. Now the Vicious Lips don't have a singer, but they've got a gig coming up later that night. Now, I say later that night because it's supposed to take later on in the evening, and Matty needs to find a new singer.
Yeah.
Just happens to find a flyer on the ground that's like intergalactic high school talent show. Okay.
This is so dumb. Why? My biggest complaint about this so far is why is it in space? It doesn't have to be.
Because why not?
Because they got the prosthetic from Total Recall so they could have a 3-boobied woman.
And they only use it in one shot, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and that I was really impressed with this movie up until about 3/4 of the way through because I realized that this is a movie just led by and starring women, and I haven't seen any of their boobies yet. And then we get some boobies later, and I'm like, would have been nice if there was no nudity, because like, how do you make an 80s rock space movie that's rated R without nudity?
I don't know. But anyway, he gets this flyer and goes to the local high school talent show. It's very clear. It says high school. So this is obviously a minor.
Yeah.
The talent show is happening. They introduce the girl. Her name is Judy Jetson. She sings like 2 bars of a song.
Yeah.
And then they push her off stage. And Maddie's like, hey, you want your big break? I got a band. You should come sing for it. And she's like, okay. Minor.
Yeah, at first.
Picked up at the high school by an adult and just goes with him.
Yeah, that's what you do, right?
That's
how adventures start. At first, I'm like, Judy Jetson, really? And then I saw her, and she doesn't look like Judy, but she has the top ponytail and the little swoop of the hair in the front. She's wearing conservative sort of clothing and a longer dress than the skirt that Judy. But she could have been a live-action Jetsons character. So
sure.
At least they did that. That was kind of, they tried a little bit there to pay homage to the Jetsons.
I mean, I don't doubt that everyone tried with this movie. That's not.
Oh yeah, no, this definitely feels like if you made fun of it, you'd feel bad if they heard you. Like,
yeah,
that's how much they cared about this. Yeah, it does feel like that.
Yeah, I agree. So she just goes with him and goes to this gig with these girls. Apparently knows the songs.
That was confusing.
Like, so they introduce her to the rest of the band, and the band is made up of Bree, Winsy, and Manda.
Manda, yeah. Which I said that's not a woman. That's a monster in Godzilla.
Yeah, because they spell it Mandaa.
I will say they did go with the Star Wars naming convention, where you take a name and you just change a letter in it. So her name's probably Amanda. They took the A off the front, put it on the back. That's how you name shit in Star Wars. Take a letter out.
Yeah. And so they perform at this club, and there's like 3 people there. So they made he made it sound like it was this big deal. There's like 3 people there. He gets the phone call from the what was her name? Maxine.
Oh,
It's the phone call from Maxine, and she's like, "Hey, Maddie, if you've got a band, I'm gonna give you a big break here. If you can get here to play, you know, you can have the spot or whatever, and make all your dreams come true or whatever it is."
Yeah.
And so he's like, "All right." So he pulls them off stage mid performance, throws them all in he steals the spaceship.
Right.
Because there's these 2 guys that they're in the spaceport, and there's these 2 guys that are dropping off their like valet. It's like a valet or whatever for like spaceships. And they're like, "Oh, you just got to be careful, because in the back we have a serial killer that's killed over 5,000 women. But don't worry, he's trapped in a titanium cell. As long as the power's on, it's fine." Foreshadowing. Bless you.
Thank you. Sorry. Yeah.
Foreshadowing.
Why they just didn't kill somebody that murdered 5,000 people, I don't understand.
I'm guessing.
Like, oops, we didn't close the airlock tight enough.
I'm guessing that was left over from Albert Pune's proposed bounty hunter movie that never got made.
Oh.
Just a guess. So anyway, Maddie steals this ship. Nobody's looking for it. Nobody says anything. Like,
no.
You just get in and they fly off.
Yep. This definitely lives in the same world as Robot Jocks and Arena.
Yeah, well, it definitely lives in the same world as Radioactive Dreams, because the club that they're going to is called Radioactive Dreams.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So they, there's the girls like fighting with each other, because Mandy's basically like, "You think you're better than me because you came in to be the singer, and like, so you're not really in the band," and blah 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 blah.
It's like this was contrived. This was there was no basis for her to act like that.
No.
And I didn't get it. Like, you want your big break, you have a singer, shut the fuck up.
Right, and she's good too. That was the thing. Like,
yeah, she actually was. She had the singer, whoever they had got, whether it was the actress or somebody else, decent, really good. Yeah, decent and really good aren't the same thing, but in my head right then when I said it, they were.
Right. Right. No, I hear you. So the ship takes off and they're supposed to get across the universe. And the whole thing is they don't have much time to get there and it's really far away. So they need to get there quickly. So they need to go through the Forbidden Zone.
Mm.
What happens in the
A nod to another movie, right?
Yeah, right. Not to the movie Forbidden Zone, to the location of the Forbidden Zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, of course, they hit an asteroid because Maddie's not paying attention and the ship crashes on Tatooine.
Yep. I was really trying. Most of my energy in the spaceship flying scenes was spent on me trying to figure out what the spaceship was made from in real life, because it's clearly just two of something glued together.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't tell what it was.
A lot of soup cans.
Yeah, probably.
So they crash on this desolate planet that's all just sand. And the power's knocked out in the ship. Remember that foreshadowing I said about the 5,000 person murderer that's in the back?
At least it didn't take a long time for that to happen.
Well,
it was like,
I mean, it did take a long time.
Well,
they mentioned
okay,
it and eventually got to it.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, what are we going to do? And so, of course, they talk Maddie into going out into the thing to try to find help. The issue with this movie, though, is that, like, a whole bunch of shit just happens and there's no real, no reasoning or, like, the pacing is up and down and, like, the storyline, they're like, there's the killer in the back, which is, like, only a fraction of the story, and then there's a part where, like, they're all fighting with each other, and then there's this, like, side plot of, like, oh, maybe the singer is gonna call the other band and join the other band, and, like, all of this stuff happened. Like, and then, like, they get out of the ship, and then they end up in some other, like, random place, and then there's these two naked girls that are chasing Matt around the desert, and no, like, explaining of where they came from, why they're there, or anything.
No, I know why. I figured it out.
Okay.
Did you ever see the movie Land of the Lost?
A long time ago, yeah.
Same thing happens in that movie. Chaka goes back to his people, and all the women are just beautiful, like Finland, Swedish women. And they're naked, and it's a sandy desert thing. And I swear to God, Will Ferrell is riffing on this movie.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I do like it when I see stuff in these obscure movies and it's like, hold on. Because people like there's so many people out there that do what we do and search out the not so normal stuff. And people that make weird stuff out there, they definitely watch the weirder movies.
That's true.
So I do enjoy that part.
That is true. So all of this crazy shit happens with no explanation. And I'm sitting there, I'm looking at the time on it, and I'm like, this has got like 10 minutes left. What the hell is going on? And then I think, and this is a spoiler alert for, I don't feel like it makes a difference, but it's a spoiler alert. So if you want to know what happens, stop listening, go watch it, come back. I'm watching it. There's 10 minutes left. I'm like, what is happening? There's no like, the spaceship crashing is like the whole fucking movie. Yeah. So I'm like, what is going on? Oh, shock and awe here. Surprising. Spoiler alert. It was all a dream.
That's
the lead singer. It was all a dream. What was it?
She passed out on stage.
But was it? Like, that's the thing that doesn't... They turn it into a dream where she's being woken up by... She's now at the Maxine's place. They're already there. So connecting all of the dots gets very, very difficult because at the beginning, when she's first found at the, again, high school talent show, there's a part where Maddie says to her, oh, you're going to live out your dream. And she goes, dream, dream, dream. And you get these kind of weird things. So you're like, okay, that's the part where she went into the dream. But when she wakes up, she's at the place where they're having the big break, which means that she got onto the ship, or she got to perform with them for the first time, got onto the ship, and then flew there.
Yeah.
But there's no, like, in between. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't remember any of that. And then when they're doing the final performance of the song, like, they're re-showing all the stuff from earlier in the movie when they were, like, crashed and the monster and, like, all this stuff. And none of it makes any fucking sense.
No, because I'm like, why are we getting a recap of what's going on. It wasn't that long ago. And the stuff they recapped wasn't even that great.
Right. And then you get into the thing, well, if this was her dream, why did you get to see a bunch of stuff from other people's point of views?
Oh, that's
Now,
always
again,
a good point.
Not something that I'm sure that they were thinking of when they were making this movie, because as much effort they put into it, and again, not Albert Pune, they put the effort in. They did the best they could with what they had, but like, I really think that they were like, shit, this doesn't make any fucking sense. Oh, fucking dream. Like,
yeah, it really feels to me that this was, now that you said like he had other projects that didn't get off the ground, it really feels like all of what he felt like were his favorite or his best ideas just kind of got jammed together.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it really does feel like a whole bunch of separate events that, because you have a band and a bunch of different people in the band, you can have different stuff happen to them. Not just all, I don't know. It's just, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Dude, it doesn't make any sense. But you know what? It was fun.
I didn't hate it.
It was fun. It's so fucking 80s.
Oh my God.
The girls' hair, they're all, and like they kind of poke fun at it too. Like they're like, oh, careful, your wig's going to fall off. Like they actually say that. And like their wig falls off at one point because they got the big, big hair and the crazy outfits. Songs are certifiably 80s drivel.
But they're not terrible.
No, it's like Streets of Fire, where like, well, that's probably a bad comparison because that was, what's his name that worked with Meatloaf? Jim, what's his name? He did like all the Bat Out of Hell stuff, but he did the songs for Streets of Fire too. I can't remember his name offhand.
Okay.
This was definitely not like some high quality, like it wasn't like Bruce Springsteen didn't come in to do the songs for Vicious Lips or something.
No, but I mean for the level of movie this is, I was surprised by the final song, and we were all watching this together because it was goofy as hell. And I got really mad when it was a dream, and I basically said, "Fuck this! Don't you dare pull that on me."
Yep.
But the other thing I said was, every movie that has like the song is the main thing, like the most important thing, like the music is world changing and all that. Like Bill and Ted's, right? The second Bill and Ted's. I'm not a fan of the band, but I understand why they would use God Gave Rock and Roll to You by Kiss. That's a pretty decent anthem song for the end of a movie. And I was saying, this movie doesn't really seem to have any, and then the last song happened and we all kind of looked at each other like, yeah, all right, that's kind of catchy. All right, they did okay. I just hate it when it's like, I'll use this because why not? Lords of Salem, and the music is brum, 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 brum. That's not music. That's 4 notes. That's one measure.
It's drone. It's drone music, which is not something that would be popular. So
yeah. So that didn't impress me. This had better music than the movie by the musician.
I know, right? I know, it's crazy.
There's not much else.
No. All right, Chris, do you recommend what is your grade for 1986's Vicious Lips?
All right. So I am going to recommend this because, like, if your arteries aren't blocked with cheese, this will do it. I will say every time the black-haired characters came on screen, a line from a Dead Milkmen song just kept running through my head. I think it's, "Oh, baby, look at you. Don't you look like Susie Sue? How long did it take you to get that way? What a terrible waste of energy." Because it's, You'll Dance to Anything is the song. So they're making fun of the club scene. And I just thought, yeah, they're all trying to look like Sue Z. And I get it. But yeah, God damn, the time people needed in the 80s to get ready to do shit.
Years.
Yeah, that's why everybody was always so tired. All the girls are getting up at 4.
Well, that's why everybody did coke, because
yeah, to counter it. Yeah,
I'm real tired. I'm just gonna bump these 2 lines and I'll go film this scene.
Yep. That's not the first or last time that's been said.
Nope.
So yeah, it was fun, but it's not good. Don't expect anything from it. The fact that it happens in space is just an excuse to use up a couple masks and some special effects laying around, I guess. It didn't have to be set in space. They could have just been traveling through the desert to Las Vegas. So that part confused me. If you're gonna do sci-fi, use the sci-fi, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What was that other one we did that had like, was it Voyage of the Space? It had like the band in it.
Oh,
God. What the hell was the name of that movie? Voyage of the
Rock
Aliens? Is that what it was?
I don't know.
Hang on. You finish right now. I'll look it up.
All right. I have absolutely no idea what this is. So this is, an afternoon kind of fun, goofy thing. It's not serious at all. People aren't in.
Yeah, Voyage of the Rock Aliens with Pia Sodor and Craig Sheffer.
Why don't I remember that?
Well, we covered it a couple of years ago. It was good in that like terrible way. And Michael Berryman was in it.
I don't remember that.
Really? Oh, I remember it.
I don't at all. It's on Tubi. I'm gonna watch it.
Traveling through time and space. Their leader is Absid. Their mission is for science. Their only vice
We used to sit around at night watching old-time movie shows.
is music.
You didn't know.
We didn't know.
We didn't know.
We didn't know.
What did you think?
What did you think?
We didn't think at all.
Voyage
We had
of the Rock Aliens.
Dusty!
Their destination is the home of Dee Dee, the hottest ticket in town.
You really don't remember this?
Frankie,
Not at all.
the hottest temper in town. And his band, The Pack, who are always cooking. But things are about to get hotter. All it took was just one look, and Dee Dee short-circuited his fuse box.
That's really weird.
Some guys will do it.
There were a couple shows I wasn't on after I came on full time. Maybe it was one of those.
No, this is just like in the last couple of years we did this.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, all right, I'll watch it.
Yeah,
and
definitely
then-
revisit. It's great. It's
There
so
is-
cheesy.
I have found, going back and looking at things, I have found that there's a time frame in the last 3 years where there's stuff I just do not remember happening or doing.
Dude, no, I mean, and that's not just you. Like, I've definitely have come across stuff like looking for new films and going in and seeing that we have covered it because I'll have it on one of the old lists. And I'll be like, I don't remember anything about that movie. Like,
Yeah.
just for example, the second film we're doing today, Queens of Evil, we haven't covered it before, but I watched it because I had it on my watch list and I didn't remember anything about it.
All right.
So it's not just you. But Voyage of the Rock Aliens is great because Pia Zadora is so adorable in it.
Okay. I'll check it out and then I'll report back next week.
I think I had it on my top 6 we did from that whatever year it was.
God damn. Okay. I don't remember. It doesn't have another name or anything?
I don't think so, man.
I was looking. I didn't see anything. Oh, well. Okay. Yeah, so I'll give this a B-.
B-, that's fair.
It's bad, but it's the fun kind of bad because you really can tell. There's some spots where you can catch them smiling. Like you can tell they're having fun. And I can't fault them for that because it's not terrible. It's just kind of bad.
But it definitely is one of those films that well, I guess I could just talk about it in my review of it.
Oh yeah.
I'm also going to recommend it. It's fun. It's fun. The songs are good. The 80s aesthetic is front and center. They do the best they can with the actors they got. There's nobody in this movie that's a great actor or actress, but they're working it for what they can. Yeah, the songs are good. The look is good. It looks cheap though. I mean, but Albert Pune is a master of working on cheap stuff. And I know Charles Band was a uncredited producer on this. So it's definitely got that kind of feel to it also. It's got that Full Moon feel. But
yeah. There was, I don't want to forget this. This is like, I think a really nitpicky kind of fun thing for people to look for. You know how they say in Star Trek, like all you got to do is turn the camera around and you're in a different hallway?
Yep.
They did this, but it looked like a room full of metal drying racks for clothes. And that was just a hallway. And I'm like, all right, good for them. That's just a black background, some fog, and some things that look like pipes. And then they went through a destroyed hallway, and somebody just went in and wrecked up that set. And it was the same exact set, but it was a different place because that's what happened. And I like that. It wasn't so egregious where it's like you're on a completely different ship from a completely different species and you all have the same doorknobs. No, it's not that bad. Or like same wall color and pattern. No, this was something else. They put a little bit of thought into that.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I liked it. It's nothing that's going to change the world, or like if you don't see it, it's not one you need to sort out. But like, if you're a cult movie fan and you like trash and you like especially 80s trash, this is a great. There's way worse ways to spend an hour and 23 minutes. Like there's way worse ways. Like, and it's short and it's quick. Yeah, check it out. Check it out. I'll give it a B. B. I think B's fair.
Yeah. Doesn't
deserve an A because it's not quality enough, but like it's enjoyable. Its enjoyability comes up. I think it's something that's actually probably rewatchable. Like you could probably watch this again.
Yeah. Once you learn the songs, I think it'd be a lot of fun. But I mean, it's a B movie to start with.
Oh,
so I think giving it a B is a thing is like the highest compliment we could give it.
I know, right? All right. Speaking of high compliments, let's move on to 1970s Queens of Evil. Let's see if we can get a trailer for this guy. I believe this is the original Italian trailer. You get a good feel for the music, at least, that was involved.
That's true.
Lots of Moody Blues, Knights of White Satin feeling songs. We're going to cut it right there because they're
okay.
All right. 1970, Queens of Evil. Original titled La Regina.
The Queen.
Yeah.
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 See, I'm learning Italian.
There you go. Well, actually, the original title is Il Delitio del Diavolo.
I don't know that much Italian.
Diavolo. Il Delitio del Diavolo.
Well, that's diabolic.
No, that's Diabolica would be.
Or devil, diabolic, Diablo. It all came. Yeah, same. Yeah.
Diavolo.
Yeah.
Either way, Queens of Evil.
Yeah.
Starring Haiti Politoff, Sylvia Monti, and Ida Galini, and then starring also Ray Lovelock, who is an OTC All-Star. He starred in, of course, Let Sleeping Corpses Lie, Violent 4, Last House on the Beach, and best probably known to mainstream audiences in Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh.
So yeah, Ray Lovelock is a OTC legend. We've covered a bunch. I'm willing to bet if we scroll down to his early stuff here, we covered a bunch of his 70s stuff. Let me get to the 70s.
That would make sense.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh hell yeah. All right. He was in something called The Fastest Jew.
Okay. No comment.
No comment. Last House on the Beach we've covered. La Ivagato del Malia, that's a Giallo. I don't think we've actually covered that one though. The Virgo, the Taurus, and the Capricorn, it had Edwidge Fenwick in it that we've covered. And Valentina, the Virgin Wife, is another one.
Okay.
So we've done a bunch. Ray Lovelock is legend. Django, if you live, shoot.
Oh God, those Django movies got such weird titles after a while.
Yeah, Oasis of Fear. Emergency Squad, yeah, he did a lot of police. Yeah, Almost Human, we covered.
Yep.
Let's Sleeping Corpses Lie. Violent Rome.
I like that's one of my favorite titles. Let Sleeping Corpses Lie.
That's a great title.
I like that. It's intimidating. It's threatening.
So either way, yes, nice. Ray Lovelock is OTC royalty. Now, I said earlier I had watched this movie before and I didn't remember anything about it. Nothing. It's not a Giallo.
No.
And it's, I guess, it's supposed to be a horror film, but there's very little horror elements in this.
It's a lot of setup, and then the horror element comes in for a short amount of time.
And pretty much just right at the tail end of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think the movie's just supposed to give you this overall feeling of like, shit ain't right. What's wrong with this dummy? And that was okay, because the looks that the women give him is just strange sometimes, and it makes sense. There's this motorcycle guy. I'll do this part. I remember this part. There's this motorcycle hippie dude, which, don't like. And he helps a guy in a very expensive car change his tire. And the thing I didn't understand is this dude's a hippie with no permanent address. And while he's fixing this guy's tire, the guy starts to just berate him and his entire generation.
Yep.
And the first thing I thought was, okay, so the greatest generation did that to you, so now you're going to do it to X and Y and all of them. Smart. You don't remember, do you? You don't remember all the shit that you used to stand up for, you fucking hippies. You used to stand for something, not try to take everything away. All the hippies became fucking Republicans. Oh
my God, yeah.
Except for Ben and Jerry. They still support good people.
Mm.
But anyway, that was my first impression, was that if somebody's shitting on me and they don't know me and they're trying to be very specific about, shit my generation has done, I'm not helping you. Right. I don't know why he continued to help him.
Yeah, he did. He let the guy just stand there. He didn't even help him. And he made an excuse as to why he doesn't help. He's like, oh, I got a bad back or whatever.
Yep.
But he just lets the dude change his tire for him.
Yes. It's okay, because 10 minutes later, that guy's dead.
Right.
So didn't really matter.
Yeah. So the older guy puts a nail in the motorcycle's tire.
Oh, so terribly too. Like, is that his first time?
I think maybe.
He just the tread held it standing straight up. He put it on top of the tire, sticking straight up. When you're going to nail somebody's tire, what you want to do is get down on the ground and you want to angle it. Maybe push it into the tire a tiny little bit, so that when you put it on the ground, it'll catch and the tire will roll over it and it'll puncture the tire. And then, oh, look, there was a screw there the whole time. On the top, it's just going to, as the wheel turns around, it's just going to hit the ground and pop right off.
Yeah. And the guy sees it before it even.
Yeah, there's that too. He's like, what are you trying to do to my bike?
So David, who's the hippie, gets on the bike, catches up with them, and he's yelling at him while they're driving. Why did you try to puncture my tire? Why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? Look out. Yeah. And he drives into a tree. Not David, the old guy in the car.
Yeah, full speed.
Yeah.
Just so dumb.
So David
I don't understand why that happened.
I don't know. It's ridiculous. David stops, gets out, checks on him. The guy's supposed to be dead.
Yep.
No visible injuries.
No. It was all internal because of the budget.
Yes. So then David tries to flag down a couple people to help, and nobody will stop.
No, of course not.
And it dates back. So the old guy, when he's berating David, he gives him a whole bunch of options. And then he says something about how nobody would stop for me on the street or whatever. And then all of this other mumbo jumbo about what he should do with his life and what he could do and what he shouldn't do and that stuff. It all
literally
comes into play.
Just met this dude.
Yeah. And it all comes into play later in the movie. So it seems like heavy stuff then, but you forget about it because it doesn't. This only runs an hour and 20 minutes, and it doesn't come back into play until an hour 15.
Yeah.
So he tries to flag a couple people down. He doesn't know what to do. So he gets on the bike. And what I assumed was he was going to drive to try to get some help. Gets a couple miles, a little ways up the street. And there's cops pulled over on the side of the road with their lights on. And I'm like, okay, this is the exact help you need. But then I think he thinks about who he is. How he looks, how he presents himself. And I get this for this time period, that the cops are just going to take him in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So he takes off on a side road and ends up in front of this older house, takes a nap in the barn.
Yeah, hippies were presumptuous back then. I
Very.
think. Yeah.
He just like
This
rolls up.
one was at least.
Yeah, he just rolls up, sees that the shed's open or the barn, goes into the barn, finds a cot type bed for him to sleep on, and he just sacks out there for the night.
Yeah. To be fair, he does claim that he thought the house was abandoned,
He did, yes.
which doesn't say much for the upkeep of the house, but whatever.
Yes. So he wakes up the next morning with a beautiful woman standing in front of him, being like, "Hey, who are you? Why are you here? Why? What's going on?" And he's like, "Oh, sorry. I thought that as you said, says that, I thought that the house was vacant. I can go." He's actually very, very cordial and like he's not like a dick or anything. He's just like, "I'm really sorry."
He doesn't want problems.
Yeah.
He's
like, "I'm really sorry. I can go. I can take off or whatever." And then so he's going to leave, and then a second beautiful woman comes out, which was Samantha, played by Sylvia Monty, who has been in like Lizard and Women's Skin. I think she was in The Fifth Chord. She's actually pretty recognizable also. And she's just like, "Oh, well, we were just about to have breakfast. If we don't get visitors very often. So if you want the classic, we don't get visitors very often. So if you'd like to come into our home, things will go perfectly for you.
Maybe you'd like a Singapore sling."
Yes. Or a Colombian necktie.
Oh, geez, yeah.
So he's like, "All right, cool. These beautiful women. There's three of them. They want me to hang around. Yeah, sure. They're gonna feed me. All right, I'm down."
Dumb.
I know, really. So it goes into the home, and the home is like super modern, like compared to what the outside looks. And he's like, the house. He's like, "It's very nice in here." And they've got these giant wall-size photos of the three girls that live there.
Yeah,
like
very
close-up
Andy
portraits.
Warhol. Yeah. That was a thing. That was kind of a big thing back then.
Very narcissistic that you would think you would want a poster size, or not even a poster size, wall size photo of yourself on the wall to stare at you the whole time.
Yeah, and they're not the photos. They're fine. They look like interior magazine. Like this is what our what this is the model, blah 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 kind of thing. And they give you that face that's just like, "I couldn't give a shit if you like what I'm doing." And those are the faces on the wall, and it's like that's no, that's not good. I don't like that.
Right. So they're giving him breakfast, and the breakfast is like a multitude of multi-layer cakes.
Yeah. And at no point did he say, "You don't happen to have an oven the size of a human being, do you?" Because that's where I mean, obviously these women are witches. That's like, we're not arguing that fact, right?
Yeah, because we see them like disappear and then reappear, and like, but it's all played very low. Like it's very low level, and they each seduce him separately, and all three of them sleep with him in different. He chases Samantha down to the beach, and then she like appears in the water, and then she's back on the shore, and then they make love, and then he sneaks into the room with I guess it's like there's like three different ages. Like Samantha was the oldest and sort of the de facto leader. Viviana was the middle one, and then Liv was the young one.
Yeah.
And he sleeps with them in the reverse order of oldest to youngest. So
because you got to let the youngest get a little bit older, right?
Well, there's a whole thing that kind of comes into play. Yes, I'm not disagreeing with that, but there's a whole like thing that comes into play that's obviously some sort of ritualistic type thing. And we were trying to figure it out because Mel was sitting in the room while I was watching, and she was just like trying to figure it out. She's like, "Oh, what are they like going to sacrifice him, or like what's going on?" I'm like, "I thought we were going vampires, but that's out the window now."
I thought witches, and then I thought prequel to Martyrs. I mean, it could have been. For all we know, that could have been the beginning of that group, right?
You're right. So they just have these multitude of scenes where like it's very 70s erotic trash thriller type thing they've got going on. And so what they kind of do is they kind of take this like Euro trash erotic thriller and kind of meld it into like a little bit of Euro horror, but then also kind of put this postmodern type of like aesthetic to it with the way it kind of turns itself out. Because it'll be a mild spoiler towards the end, I guess, but like there's definitely like something going on, but unfortunately it's not really explained. You kind of have to take it for what it's given at face value when actually. So there's a point where they're walking through the woods and there's a big mansion in the distance and they're like, oh, that's the mansion. We go to parties there sometimes. And he's like, oh, well, who lives there? They're like, oh, an old friend of ours lives there, but he's not usually there.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, okay, that's weird. And then there's like a scene where like after he sleeps with the middle woman, he overhears talking in the basement and he looks, or in the downstairs, and he looks and they're talking to somebody in a hat at the doorway. And then that person leaves. And so he tries to follow the person after they leave, but there's a big like thunder and lightning storm comes through and the guy disappears. So there's all these kind of, different things. But then they're like, oh, he's then at this point of like, yeah, I think I'm going to bounce.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to bounce. Because there's all these like different things where like he goes into the house at one point looking for them and like the house is empty. There's nothing there. Like it's just like old and decrepit and empty. And then they would reappear and they'd go back to the house and everything would be back to what it was before. So a lot of like diversionary tactics are kind of given here. And like they do the thing where like, oh, well, we're going to have a party for Liv. You can't leave before the party. And she kind of guilt trips him and like, oh, well, you've been here. Yeah. And like, you don't want to stay for me. He's like, basically she's like, oh, you slept with them, but you don't want to stay and sleep with me. And like, he's like, all right. Yeah, I guess. Like, so they go to the party and the party's at the mansion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dog, your butt stinks. Sorry, he farted and it stinks in here. So they go to the party and there's all of these people. And this whole time, we have seen nobody other than the three women that live here, David, right, and then that one guy that comes to talk to them.
Yeah.
Since he's arrived, not counting the stuff at the beginning with the cars.
Right, because he's dead, so that doesn't matter.
Right. Or is he?
I still don't know.
So I guess I'm just going to talk it through here. If you don't want any of it spoiled, go and watch it. It's on Tubi, and I think it's also on Shudder. So they go to the party, and there's all of these people there, and they keep talking about how the guy that owns the house isn't there. And then Ivy talks David into bedding with her, and then he has a moment afterwards where he talks to a priest.
Yeah.
And then he comes back out, and they keep talking, and everyone knows David. They all know David, and they eventually go back to the house, and basically the three of them are like, David, don't you want to stay with us? And he's like, yes. He's like, I would love to stay with you. And they're like, don't you want, to provide for us and give for us? And he's like, yes. He's like, whatever you want, I'll.
Oh, no. See, that sounds like a meal. That sounds like you are going to be eaten. Do you want to provide for us? No, not really. You need money? I'll give you money. You're not getting any of my meat.
No, but they're basically just like at the beginning of the film when he's talking to the guy in the car and he's basically like saying, I'm a free spirit. I don't need to be locked down. I don't need to have a home. I go where I want to go when I want to go. And it's my choice and it's my freedom. So the whole thing is he basically gives up his freedom to these three women and turns his back on everything that he believed in based on the fact that they provided him the pleasure of flesh. That's what the guy said at the beginning too. You would give it all up for the pleasures of the flesh. And so he does.
Yeah.
And then
I would be such a bad character in these movies.
Yeah. You say that.
I'd be like, no, I'm okay. I'm good. No, I've okay. No, that's too awkward.
I get where you're coming from.
Three of these women. No, this is a joke. Somebody's filming it. Something's going on. I'm going to get screwed in the wrong way. I don't trust anybody. I don't know.
I don't disagree with you, but I'm like, if you were to say like 21-year-old Bill wouldn't be seduced by this, like I can't say that wouldn't be the truth. I wouldn't have watched 2,000 movies like this.
Yeah. The first girl. Yeah. Okay. Sure. The second one would be, why are you coming on to me? This is really weird. And the third one would be like, all right, you're just all going to sacrifice me now, aren't you?
Right. But so after they talk him into giving up his freedom to, be this indentured servant or whatever, they murder him.
Yeah.
They stab him a whole bunch of times and stuff. And he's
real
all bloody.
Quick too.
Yeah.
I was okay with that.
And we're like, okay, so now I'm just confused as to what's going on. And then they drag his body outside, and he's now magically not stabbed anymore, but he's still dead.
Yeah, well, effects. Yeah.
And there's all the people from the party standing around, the grave, an open grave that they've dug for him. And they come out and they bring the body out there and they lay him next to the grave. And then the guy from the beginning of the movie appears again. The guy in the hat.
Yes.
So, and he's basically like, well, did he give up his freedoms? And they're like, yeah, he pledged everything to us. And they're like, good, one more down. Throw David's body into the dirt, cover him up. And then there's this whole, like, so basically the whole thing is this thinly veiled thing of the government or, you know, the religious Reich or whatever, organized religion, whatever, trying to take away your freedoms.
Yeah.
And put you in the ground because they don't, you know, their agenda is not what your agenda is. So they're doing everything they can to rid the world of the free thinkers.
Yep.
And in 1970, it makes complete sense. I mean, it makes complete sense now too, but
it makes more sense now. Yeah.
It's just a bizarre way to present it because I don't know who this guy in the hat is supposed to represent. Is he supposed to be the devil? Is he supposed to be God? Is he supposed, like, there's just so little given to you that it like when you start to try to unpack it and as anything more than taking it at face value, it doesn't make sense.
Right. Right.
But this movie's pretty good. At least I felt so. I can't speak for you. I thought the feel, the look, the pace at which it was brought together, the music is good for the time period. It's shot really well. They kept me guessing as to what was going on, and because it has really quite a bizarre ending, I wasn't able to peg what happened.
Yeah.
So, your thoughts?
Yeah. I was kind of bored for a decent amount of it because it's like, okay, don't trust these women. Let's get the show on the road. Where's the weird stuff? And then it just kept going like that, and I'm like, I don't know what are they trying to do here? And it pretty much ended up exactly where I thought it would. From the moment the other two women show up. But I wasn't bored with it. I mean, by the third scene of you know, pseudo sex, it did get a little repetitive at that point.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
But I mean, it's Italian, so there's different pacing to consider. Things are done different back then. And getting used to that now. Good actresses, the dubbing was fine.
Yeah.
All around. So all the things that can pull me out of it didn't, which was good. I thought your evil characters had that sufficiently evil like smirk or stare or frown or whatever they have going on at the time. So there were a lot of hints given to the audience. So there was a lot of stuff was worked out, which I wouldn't have expected from, you know, this late in the game, trying to make a Giallo homage, I guess is the
Well, I mean, it
way.
predates most of the Giallo stuff. So it was 1970.
Oh, shit. Okay. So, all right, never mind. I got my dates wrong. When was the first group of those?
Well, if you want to go back and you want to look at, I mean, Bird with the Crystal Plumage is really the standard setter, and that was mid 60s.
Okay, so that's the Friday the 13th or Halloween.
Yeah. So the real glut of Giallos, I would say 70. I don't know, 71, 72 to like 76. Okay. It's actually quite a short of like the original. Like,
yeah. Well, same thing for slashers too, right? Just about 10 years and everybody needed a break.
Yeah.
What was the point of that?
I couldn't tell you.
Couldn't
tell you.
But yeah, it was better made than I thought. I didn't care that it sort of like the other kind because all it did was take like atmosphere and feel. I feel from those, not any kind of plot or storyline contrivancy that those movies would share.
Right. Right.
So it's just Italian with murder. I mean, that's the closest it gets.
All right. Well, let's just grade it then.
Yeah.
All right, Chris. Then so do you recommend it, and what's the grade for it? I kind of feel I know where you're going, but
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a light recommend. I didn't hate it. All of the time period stuff was really great to see. I like that sort of peek back into housing decoration style and clothing and hair. Like the hair was just so 1969 in this. It was fantastic.
so many wigs. So many wigs.
Yeah.
And the interior of their house looks like the interior of the house from Clockwork Orange.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. Because they were trying that future modern back then.
Yeah, future modern is definitely what the inside of the house looked like.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that feel sometimes. I like it when it's like a super old retro
1970s
modern.
future is one of my favorites.
Yeah. 50s for me. I like that atomic age kind of aerodynamic, Art Deco kind of stuff. Anyway, that's not the point. My point is I will lightly recommend this, and I'll give it a. I didn't hate it. I'm gonna give it a B-. It's I don't know if my patience has changed or my tolerance for these, but like nothing was that bad this week.
I'll tell you why I think you feel that way in my closing argument here. I'm also going to recommend it. I'm going to give it a little bit more than a light recommend. I'm going to think if you like Italian horror, you like the Eurotrash stuff, then this is definitely one to check out. As always, Italian, beautiful actresses in the front and foremost part of the film. Ray Lovelock does a great job as Dave the hippie. He just falls into this situation and then, well, can you pull yourself out of it? That type of deal.
And he wasn't pretending to be a hippie. He was actually like, he knew what to do.
Yeah, he was he comes across as that free spirit guy that's just out on his motorcycle and he ends up where he ends up. That's cool. Yep. All right.
I like that.
So it's got the look, it's got the feel. They do a really good job of kind of building some tension in this and then kind of diffusing it as you go. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I think it works as well as it does, and the reason why you don't have a problem with this where you do so many other movies of this ilk, is that the film only runs an hour and 22 minutes.
Yeah, it was
so
tight. Yeah.
When you get that downtime, that slow burn, it doesn't hang around for too long.
Yeah.
And that is crucial because I think so many of those movies that we watch where we're like, I can get down with a slow burn, but I can't get down with a slow burn that's a 2 hour and 15-minute movie. And I think that's where so many of these films, not so much in this time period, but in general, they just overstay their welcome. And I mean, how many times have we said, they could have edited 20 minutes out of this movie and it would have been a tight 90 and would have been excellent. This film
it
does
changes
that.
the whole feel. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, an hour and 22 minutes to hour, I believe is what it was. Tight, no bullshit. Not like a lot of action, but it doesn't hang around long enough for you to get bored of the action.
Yeah.
Or the bored of the lack of action.
Some of the Italian ones, it almost feels like the, I'll call it the Adam Sandler mindset, where it's like, hey, I want to spend a week in the Alps. Let's make the movie go there. And then it's just hanging out or whatever. And it has nothing to do with the story. That's happened in a couple of ones that we've
I'll be honest, man, when I'm picking movies for the shows now, and I look at Italian stuff, I look at the runtime before I choose it. So unless it's something that's very well-known, renowned flick, like a Cat o' Nine Tails or a, Suspiria or something like that I know has got a longer runtime that okay, no, this is good because it's been around and it's talked about. If it's something I'm not familiar with and I look at it and it runs over 90 minutes, unless it seems super interesting, I kind of put it on the back burner. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we've been pretty lucky because I think most of the ones that I picked, like the films we had last week, it was the same thing where they were tight 90-minute, sub 90-minute runtimes, and they play off so much better. So my grade, I'm going to give it a B. I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I think it's got some rewatchability because you can kind of, once you've kind of see what happens at the end, you can kind of go back and kind of pick the things out and what was kind of weird, what was kind of off. It's solid. It's on Tubi, so you can check it out there for free-ish.
Yeah, watch as much shit on Tubi as you can before they change over like Amazon and all.
Well, the one thing with Tubi, though, I feel is since they are owned by Fox, they just love money. So, wherever they can get the most money.
So you think they get more from advertisers than they would if they... That makes sense, yeah. Okay.
But you're not wrong. Tubi will at some point start to rein in everything and go with just their pre-produced, because they produce a lot of stuff. So there you have it. That's Queens of Evil. Check it out. We both think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so this week I think is Joe's last in the Tremors series. So let's see what he thought of Tremors 36, the retremoring.
Well, hello, Bill. Hello, Chris. And hello, OTC Nation. Your boy Joe here, and this week Bill took me to the South Pacific. But not the cutesy 1950s, like, Broadway musical version. Because he made me watch Tremors, Shrieker Island. Now, I want you to imagine if King Kong, The Most Dangerous Game, and Jurassic Park 3 had like a drunken whoopsie of a one-night stand three-way baby. That's kind of what I've got going on so far. All right. But at least Richard Brake is here to make sure that there's at least one competent actor apart from Michael Gross.
Okay.
He plays the bad guy.
Of course.
Which he should always do.
Yeah.
Almost always. Richard Brake plays bad guy like Neil Peart plays drums. And I will always want to see him on my TV.
Yeah, flawlessly.
And then there's John Heder. I know time has not been very kind to the public perception of the movie Napoleon Dynamite, but I still find it to be kind of a cute, funny movie that's like good background noise for when I'm doing stuff like cleaning the house.
Good point. Yeah.
That said, almost everything else this dingus has done is either lazy, unenjoyable media meant for middle America to swallow down like a flavorless nutrient sludge, or VeggieTales. That's right. He voted for Pedro, but he's also part of the Christo propaganda machine. So fuck him. I hope he gets turned into graboid dung.
I like the movie he did with Farrell.
The rest of the cast are nameless, struggling cattle call actors, presumably just trying to get their SAG card, and honestly, good for them.
Yeah.
One thing stuck out at me when I found out that this movie, exists. This might be the least necessary and or asked for sequel I've ever heard of. Like, I'm fine with studios doing like the cash grab sequel. That's just the nature of the beast, but they will usually at least kind of, sort of, in a roundabout way, find something with an underserved fan base or a story to continue. I'm not sure I want to live in a world where more than maybe like a baker's dozen people on the entire planet were begging Universal to make a 7th Tremors film. Oh, God damn it, they did it again. Let me set this thing up, and then I'll get into what made me legitimately groan and say, God damn it, out loud in my living room, where right now it's just me and Quark. Thankfully, my wife is out running errands and is being spared from my diatribe about bad movies. On a small chain of islands in the South Pacific, one island is a research station full of helpful locals and wide-eyed flower child college kids who turn out to be surprisingly badass. And the other is a hunting ground run by Richard Brake, who is charging business bros up the wazoo to hunt graboids.
Okay.
Graboids, being notoriously adaptive, are making this capital venture difficult all of a sudden, and they're making their way over to the good guy's home base. And it's just getting out of control. Who could have possibly foreseen this guy? Who could have seen this coming?
John Hammond?
Napoleon Dynamite gets sent to fetch Bert Gummer, who is pulling a self-imposed castaway on a nearby island, conveniently, and we're off to the races where everyone trips over their own feet. Yeah. Now, on its face, that's actually not a bad idea. Tropey, sure, but, if you make it your own, you could have had a good movie here. And they kind of sort of did. We'll get there later. And while so far this is not nearly even as close to as bad as it could have been, it is cheaply produced, mostly lazy, and the only thing saving this is Gross and Brake.
Yeah, I could see that.
Should be a good name for like a buddy cop, action thing. Gross and Brake.
Because give me a break.
Which, starring Michael Gross and Richard Brake, would actually be kind of fun. Back to the thing that made me incredulous. One of the gimmicks the later Tremors films has relied on is the wait, you're so-and-so's kid? Or I can't believe you're here, child of so-and-so from the first movie. Like, remember how Jamie Kennedy, who mercifully isn't in this one, revealed himself to be Burt Gummer's illegitimate heir to, I don't know, probably just a big collection of guns?
Yep.
And then later they run into the legitimate child of Footloose and the geologist from 25 years prior. Well, guess who the lead researcher on the good guy hippie island is?
Egg Shen's son.
Yep, you got it. Take a cheap stuffed animal off the wall of prizes. She is the hippie that Bert did not have the courtesy to pull out of on a one-night stand. Oh. And I have had an absolute ass full of these movies. I'm done. I'm fucking done. This one was made 5 years ago, so I'm pretty sure we're in the clear. It also just became Predator, as the whole rest of the movie is Bert leading a squad made up of half of Brake and his crew and Napoleon and his squad. And the Graboids are mostly Shriekers now, and they do a lot of Predator vision stuff, and hence the name of the movie. And if the filters they used to film this thing were any more blue, Joni Mitchell would have sued them. I'm kind of torn on this one.
Nice reference.
It lies right at the intersection of, okay, I'm not super mad that I watched that, and dumb fun. And they actually got me at the end. It honestly redeemed anything negative I could dunk on this movie for. Like, listen, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I did not love this movie. It was all right.
Okay.
I'm not mad I watched it. I think they understood that everything from Tremors 3 onward relied on the charm of Michael Gross as Burt Gummer, and he's the glue that held this whole rickety ship together. I think they also understood that Michael Gross was 72 when they made this, and he probably just wanted to go home.
Huh.
I can relate to that. Most of the time, if I'm 5 minutes outside of my house, I just want to go home.
Same.
Spoiler alert, Bert makes the hero's sacrifice to win the day, and the whole last few minutes where they mourn him, and then they make a grave, and then they place, like, the shooter's sunglasses on the grave, and a couple other things, and his hat. You expect him to, like, pop out of a bush, and it was like, hey, what are you guys all sad about for the happy ending? And it doesn't happen.
Huh.
They actually let it lie.
Interesting.
It's amazing. I can't let it lie until I do the thing. So, the good. Oh, man, that ending got me good. The fact that they actually killed off the main character and let it stick, like, was such a pleasant surprise. Also, for a movie that probably had a minimal budget, it actually looks surprisingly good. This is kind of, it lies right in the middle ground of the series. This is the mean of the Tremors series. Very, very surprisingly. The bad? Not nearly as much as you'd think. They tried to make a good movie, and that counts for a lot for me, as you know, if you've been listening to me bitch about these things for the last, I don't know, nearly a decade. And while it wasn't a home run, I think they hit a respectable double here. The cheapness does occasionally shine through it all, is pretty much what I'll have to kind of boil it down for the bad. Also, about 20 minutes too long. Tremors, Shrieker Island, gets a genuinely surprising C. The series kind of wildly varies, so it'll get like a C as well. I don't know. Just watch 1, 2, 5, and Shrieker Island if you must.
Okay.
So, I'm shocked. Also genuinely surprising. I'm still in the mood for bad movies. So, Bill, what's next?
Carnosaur.
Ooh.
Carnosaur.
Could be bad, could be good.
All right, OTC Nation, you heard the man. I'll be back with that next week. Until then, be good, everyone.
All right, for clarification here, Joe. So Carnosaur, there are 3 Carnosaur movies. Carnosaur 1, Carnosaur 2, Carnosaur 3, Primal Species. And then 2 additional spin-off films called Raptor and the Eden Formula. So, though I would like those included, even though they're not under the Carnosaur name, they are official spin-offs from the series. And so we go from 1994 to the last one being released in 2006. So we should have a pretty varied look there. And Carnosaur is one that obviously it's Roger Corman produced stuff. So I remember it being all over Blockbuster when we were there. So
yeah.
because it was the cheap version of Jurassic Park.
Yeah, it really was.
speaking of cheap versions, here's Reverend Scott.
So, Bill, with this season coming to a close, how about you tell us what next season of OTC has coming up? I bet you got a whole bunch of great movies that you plan on reviewing.
A Novel Christmas, Our Christmas Wedding, The Art of Christmas, Sappy Holiday, Picture Perfect Romance, Unperfect Christmas Wish, Christmas by Chance, Mistletoe Magic, A Very Corgi Christmas, A Home for Harvest, Santa's Castle, 48 Christmas Wishes, A Puppy for Christmas, and then Psycho Ward and The Door.
Wow, that sounds great.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. With Reverend Scott.
A fish makes a better dog than a dolphin. What? I don't know.
Hey there, Bill and Chris. This is Reverend Scott. And boy, do I have some stuff to talk about today.
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're talking about. What stuff? What are you talking about?
Well, my original plan was to go see that new Universal Blumhouse joint, Wolfman. But right before I could do that, wouldn't you know it, I caught COVID.
Oh, fuck. Now we got to do something different.
And what's worse, I'm pretty sure when I caught COVID, I was out seeing that A24 embarrassment called Baby Girl. Needless to say, I was pretty upset.
Yeah, I'd be a little upset. Yeah.
So when things go wrong and you're at your lowest, there's only one man you can turn to save the day.
Robert Loggia.
Okay, there's only one other man that you can turn to save the day. Nicolas Cage.
Cage is your gauge.
Because I watched streaming on Shudder the 2024 flick Arcadian.
Ooh, I watched that. I liked
What
it.
is Arcadian, you might ask?
I don't know.
Well, you're in luck, because I'm going to tell you. Think of it as a mixture, kind of, between movies like I Am Legend, A Quiet Place, 30 Days of Night, or a series like The Walking Dead.
It's really not.
It's really close, though.
It's I can see why.
Yeah, no, definitely.
This is an unspecified time on a Earth that's actively being ravaged by an apocalypse of some sort. Kind of looks like it's an internal thing, but maybe it's just us fighting something that you can't see what they're fighting, but it's fucking shit up in the process. And Nicolas Cage ain't having any of that shit. He quickly gathers some of his supplies and slips out of the dilapidated city, sneaking through secret alleyways surrounded by explosions, walking past piles of body bags, and he escapes into the countryside. As soon as he's safe from all this chaos, we realize that he's holding not one, but two babies.
And he doesn't seem too concerned.
No. Why would he be?
He's just like, oh, okay.
So since he doesn't seem shocked or surprised that these babies were basically waiting for him at the specific spot, they must be his children.
But, I don't care, right? I don't know.
Like many things in this film, that's never really explained, but who gives a fuck, because we're already fast-forwarding 15 years. Cage is now looking pretty good for his age still, and he's living in a secluded farmhouse on the countryside with his two boys, Joseph and Thomas. They also have a German shepherd named Rocco, who's somehow not even credited in this film. That's why I'm going to credit him here in this segment.
That's neato.
So,
That's neato.
I like that.
They live a really simple life, mainly because they don't have a choice. During the day, the boys help Paul with chores. Paul is Nicolas Cage, by the way. After, Thomas usually likes to run over to the nearby Rose farm. Joseph works on getting the big 4-seater ATV they have running again, and Paul spends a lot of time worrying about just how they're going to survive. Because at sundown, they have to retreat to the house, board up all the windows and doors, and turn on all the lights, because something is out there. Something fast, hairy, lanky, weird, and creepy. And when I say something, I really mean many things.
This film is exactly what you think it is.
Yep.
And sure, you might say that if you're a moron, or until you get to know these creatures a little bit better. Because unlike I Am Legend, they're not mindless zombie things. In fact, they seem quite calculated as time goes on, to the point that Joseph begins to study them. He keeps track of how often and how long they attack the doors, and at one point he even tries to get up close and personal with one. That's when we find out just how many odd and creepy abilities these things have. The ability to stretch out their fingers and claws to unheard of lengths, and they do it in silence. It's just unnerving to watch. They also are linked to cockroaches or bugs in general. They're just always around them. I don't know if they're connected to them like a parasite, or they're inside of them, or they eat them. I don't know what the deal is, but they're just around a lot.
Okay.
And these things, these creatures, they're fast, they're strong, and they do this really weird thing where they snap their jaws real quickly in this incredibly surreal way that's almost intriguing and scary at the same time. And don't get me started on the secretions and other weird things they can do to people involving internal parts of their body.
Wow, that's a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess it's no wonder that Thomas is always running over to the nearby Rose farm to help them out, and it just so happens that among the several people that are living on this farm, the Rose's parents have a daughter named Charlotte that's just about Thomas's age.
We can tell that he is into her. She is not necessarily not into him, but not like super into him.
But you know, teenagers, and all it takes is a little bit of time and they quickly fall in love.
Yep.
But when you're in love, you can lose track of time pretty easily and have to rush back home before sunset. And Thomas slips and falls into a crack in the earth, leaving him with no light except for what he can make with sparks with this little metal device that he has in his hand. And that's when he realizes that he's surrounded by these holes dug into the earth by the creatures. And despite Thomas being a dumbass, horny kid, Paul, for some reason, decides he needs to go after him in the dark anyway.
Yeah. I still don't know why.
I'm not sure either.
Okay, good.
And even though Cage and Rocco the super dog can find him, they realize they're going to have to survive the entire night underground to try and get them all out alive. This results in Paul getting wounded and the boys rushing to the Rose farm for medicine and shelter. Since the Roses know Thomas, they say, "Hey Thomas, you can stay with us and just let Joseph and Paul leave. They'll have more supplies without you over at their house." So in other words, fuck your dying dad.
Yo, fuck that guy.
Well, yeah, obviously.
And Thomas gets in a big fight with Joseph and reluctantly stays. What we soon find out is besides wanting to play kissy face with his new girlfriend, Thomas also thinks that maybe he can score some drugs that will somehow cure his dad's partially blown up arm.
Yeah, because that's how drugs work, I guess.
Sure.
He eventually convinces Charlotte to give him some of those drugs, and he almost gets away with them until one of the farm hands catches him and points a shotgun at Thomas.
He's got a snitch on him.
What happens on both the Rose farm and Paul's property from here on out has to be seen to be believed. It's crazy chaos involving gross creature things, creepy snapping heads, and the creatures moving in a large group like there's something out of Critters 2 when they form that giant ball and run over that dude and leave like a bloody skeleton behind. That part was cool. There's shotgun blasts, explosions, and a diabolical MacGyver/Indiana Jones style plan by Joseph to try and save his friends and family. And Rocco the dog was there, of course, too. There's a lot to love about this film. Jaden Martell from It plays Joseph, and he's great. Maxwell Jenkins plays Thomas, and he does a great job, too. Cage is sincere and powerful, although not in the film as much as I would have liked him to have been. Sadie Silverall plays Charlotte, and she starts out as just the love interest at the Rose Farm, but ends up being a bit more fleshed out than I would have expected her to be. Despite the lower budget in this, the monsters were handled very well. It's not necessarily flawless, but I never once felt like...
I can't even remotely think that this is real. Like, it's definitely a stuffed animal.
I felt like the creatures were original, and you never felt like you needed some sort of exposition dump about their origin or some list of their abilities. You just get to watch all that stuff happen in real time and learn about it yourself. And you don't need to know exactly how this apocalypse happened or anything like that. It's left a mystery. You hear some people speculating these kids that were born after it happened or kind of were babies when it was happening that don't know. They all speculate to each other. So, I mean, that's about all you need as far as I'm concerned. It all just kind of flowed in a way that made me feel like...
So that part made sense to me.
Arcadian has all the makings of A- film, except for two things, basically. One, it's extremely dark. I get that it takes place at night, mostly, and it's overly dark beyond that, but I saw this in 4K HDR on a good OLED TV, and there's still parts that the levels of darkness were just...
It's thick,
I'd say.
My other gripe was some of the handheld filming, borders on shaky cam at times. It was generally during action scenes, and I just don't feel like it was necessary at all, or it was just too much. This had several scenes that were completely still, rock-solid camera and long shots, and those were the most tense as hell shots in the whole movie with no shaking needed at all. But despite those two problems, I still highly recommend Arcadian, and I give it a B+. Okay, that's all I got for this week. I guess I can give you a grade on your reviews from last week too, though. I think Puzzle was fun. I like the Giallo light that it was, and I think that deserves a B. And Bale Enforcers was equally fun, just too bad the movie itself was such a shitter. I'll give that a B as well. So that's good. I didn't have to beat your dick up on either of those.
I'll beat my own up.
That's what she said.
So until next creepy, hairy creature flick, peace and love, guys. Outside the cinema and holy shit, working together for over 15 years on all kinds of things.
We had stolen all these drugs. We had stolen $1 million in heroin. We were supposed to get it back. If you had it. If I don't get it back, they're going to kill me. And if you don't give it to me, I'm going to kill you.
You told me that was a gift.
Because if you're going to die, I'm going to die. And I'm going to take your wife with us.
She doesn't even like heroin.
Hopefully they get to you first.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I hope so too.
What?
Arcadian was solid. I also recommend it.
That's like coming up for this week. I was going to watch it.
It's good stuff. All right, I'm stretching. One more show before we do the new season. So I'll come up with a couple doozies for next week.
Oh yeah, you got to send me a link to your list since I can't. Find
yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Yeah. Glad everyone's cool. If you're not cool, I'm sorry. I wish you were cooler. Have a good week, I guess.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.